Hold up. Wait a minute.
Bruh.
Did you hit the like button? Drop some rabbits in the chat. Let's go.
Hit that like, hit that like. Welcome to the chat. Let's chit chat, hit chat. Hit that like, hit that like. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits, drop some rabbits, drop some, drop them, drop them, drop them, drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits, drop some rabbits, drop them, drop them, drop them, drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. If you want the tea, come see me. Rabbit hole is the place to be for real news, not fake news. Celebrity news, breaking news around the clock. Real talk, best on the block. I rock, I rock, I rock, I rock. Real talk, best on the block. I rock, I rock. Hit that like, hit that like. Welcome to the chat. Let's chit chat, big chat. Hit that like, hit that like. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits, drop some rabbits, drop some, drop them, drop them, drop them, drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits, drop some rabbits, drop them, drop them, drop them, drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. True crime is my specialty. Exposed in the industry. Unsolved mysteries. Sticking to reality. Fair use commentary. Talking about cults. Trying to get results. Exploring cults. Exploring. Researching. Debunking. Investigating. Being nosy. Super nosy. Being messy. Being shady. Rabbit hole news. That's me. The chick with ADHD. Unmedicated. But quite educated. Hit that like. Hit that like. Welcome to the chat. Let's chit chat. Hit chat. Hit that like. Hit that like. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Drop some rabbits. Drop some. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Drop some rabbits. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Hit that like. Hit that like. Let's go. Let's go. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show.
Hey, everybody. Sorry, I got like a mouthful. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Happy Monday, July 13th. It is July 13th. Y'all, I got a little venting to do. Can I just tell you guys? I don't know if First Liberty's in here. Shout out to First Liberties. A little venting to do. I have to do a little venting. So I went to shout out to First Liberties podcast, by the way. We just got done recording a video a couple hours ago, maybe 2 hours ago or so. Joe, I think. Should be easy to edit. I'll probably drop it today. And you guys make sure you check out First Liberties podcast channel. I'll make sure I plug it in. This is regarding the Alexi Treviso case, okay? So we're supposed to hear an update, but I don't know if we really are. So, you know, we're going to do what we're going to do. But First Liberties podcast was, he was a commentator and he did amazing. Yeah, about at least 2 hours, I know. So I went to the store. Thank you. Aww. Thank you, Belen. Shout out to you, Belen. I hope you're doing well. Give me one. I went to the store. I got to vent a little bit. And this child, by the way, Abraham, thank you. We got your package, okay? Because she is like checking all her beads right now. She's counting them. Yeah, I'm checking out your beads, all the crayons, all the twistables. Thank you. Thank you, love. More stuff I got to pick up before I vacuum. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. So we went to the store. So the post office is like right next to a store, right? To like the Trader Joe's. And you know how the Trader Joe's is, right? It's like you're right next to each other. It's small. Well, tell me why this girl I have her in the cart and she's like yelling out. And I don't want to yell it out now because she's going to say it. She says, happy to me, like out loud. She's telling people it's her birthday at the store. And I'm like, no, it's not. Stop. Like, yeah, I can't take her out anywhere. I begin just so, because I'm really low key. I don't like small talk. I'll do talk when I'm like in bigger crowds and stuff like that. But when it comes to something that I'm just like, I got to do this and I got to get this done, I don't tell people. Like, I be on my own. I mind my business. Tell her to make, oh, yes. Yes. I mean, she's in it right now. She's got all kinds of stuff that she's working on right now. So anyways, so she wanted to tell the people that it's her birthday. Now, hold up, guys. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. Yeah, so she very much was telling people that it was her B day, and it wasn't. It was just so loud, and I said, "No, you gotta stop that. You're not gonna do all that." Anyways, so no, man, it's just, but she just does it because I think it just she likes that kind of attention, you know. You only get to celebrate that once a year, but for her, it's like every day. So if it's Mother's Day, it's her B day. If it's Father's Day, it's her B day. So it's just kind of how she is, you know. It is what it is. Anyways, I can only imagine the story she tells, and we're almost there. She'll be 5 next year. So anyways, but yeah, she'll I cannot believe she'll be 5 next year. She'll be 5 next year. I remember when I announced that I was pregnant. Oh my god. Yeah, she will. I don't want to say it right now though, but she definitely will once we're done with this live stream. Okay, so we're gonna hit the ground running, guys, because we have so much to review. Please also note that we are, like I said earlier, we are dropping an Alexi Treviso video. I did a pre-recorded with First Liberties podcast, so you guys can check him out too. I'll make sure I link all his channel in the description box and tag him to the video. Very interesting video. It's been said that we're supposed to hear an update on the Alexi Treviso case this week. Yeah, like on the 15th. I don't know if we will, but we'll find out. We'll see how things go. But one of the cases that I want to talk about before we start reviewing Nancy Grace is, let's talk about Nolan Wells. Because so Ben Crump dropped this picture yesterday, and I have to tell you, I mean, the timeline of these events are just getting so interesting. Let me see. So I'm going to pull it up. I told you guys a little bit about this case. Was it Saturday? It's not making sense. What's been reported to us, what people have said, and just the controversy over. I think we have every right to ask questions because it just does not make that the case is not making sense. Okay. So this is what we've been told. All right. So 4th of July, the investigation has unfolded rapidly since Nolan Wells disappeared on 4th of July from the island that he was visiting with his high school friends. Okay. While those friends returned to the mainland, well, Nolan's body was found days later in the water. Okay. So this apparently is like a familiar trip to a remote island. All right. So Nolan graduated in 2025 from Ocean Springs High School. So he stayed friends with a lot of his peers. And this is in the coastal Mississippi town of Ocean Springs. And he enrolled in the Southwest Mississippi Community College, where he was the wide receiver of their football team. All right. My understanding is that Nolan is a good swimmer. So there wasn't anything about, he can't swim. Okay. So on the evening of July, on the evening of July 3rd, the teen Nolan made his family salmon for dinner before leaving to spend the night with his friends ahead of the holiday weekend. So mom says that he was hugged and kissed by her. Everything was fine. And then he leaves for the 4th of July weekend. He is then him and his friends go on this boat trip to Horn Island. All right. And this essentially is like an island that doesn't have any Wi-Fi. Like it's like remote. Okay. Well, Nolan was supposed to return to school after the holiday weekend to start training for the upcoming football season. His father said in an interview to Good Morning America. Now, in the photos from the boat, the day the 18-year-old Nolan, basically, I mean, you could see Nolan is very tall, very handsome, young man, right? Like, he definitely stands out, I would say, from his friends. That's pretty obvious to me, okay? You could tell in every photo. But by the time that the group returned to the mainland that afternoon, a day, that began as a holiday celebration took an unsettling turn. So, Nolan was not with them. His family reported him missing on the night of July 4th. Okay. After they received a phone call around 11 p.m. from one of his friends. What followed was an intense search that would soon end tragically. So, as the first couple hours passed by without any answers, Nolan's mom turned to social media, sharing desperate pleas for information about her son's whereabouts. In the post of the morning of July 5th, mom said that she and her husband had in her possession Nolan's cell phone, and that they traveled to the island to search for him. Okay. Another thing about the cell phone is that things were deleted from his cell phone. So mom, being worried, she posted photos the night of Nolan, that night of Nolan, which she said were taken during the 4th of July trip. So Nolan, just to give you guys an idea, he's pretty tall. He was pretty tall, 6'1", pretty tall kid. Okay, big smile, like handsome young man. So essentially, the Coast Guard, everybody, everybody's out there trying to search for Nolan. Okay, so then the group, essentially, there was a group of friends there, and they start giving different versions of what happened to Nolan. It's not quite making sense. They were saying that, he went with the girl to the island and he didn't want to come back. And so he stayed at the island while the friends came back. And that was clearly not accurate. So it's something to kind of keep in mind. You said, I was watching another YouTuber covering this, and the question came from the fact that his father searched an area and didn't find him. Then a couple hours later, the authorities found him in that spot. That's interesting, Luna. Very interesting. Hey, Suitsi. Shout out to Suitsi and Stilettos. Shout out to Suitsi and Stilettos. You said, did you see the interview that did on the news? He said that they never wanted to see Nolan pass and that they never wanted to see his life be taken so soon. Isn't that a statement on who said that? Tracy. I don't know who that is. Hey, Riley, tell me who that is, love. Let me know. That is so interesting. She said the mom said that they were giving her husband a hard time to give the phone back. That's right. Even the husband said that. Nolan's dad said that he was having a hard time getting his phone. Now, Mr. Ben Crump drops a bombshell, right? Because with so many inconsistencies to this story about when he was found, well, not when he was found. They know when he was found, but when he was actually missing and whatnot, none of this makes sense, honestly. You got a group of kids, and I get it. Everybody's going to be like, well, alcohol, this and that and the other. But then there was like this social media video where you clearly hear an argument happening in the direction of a group of young kids, young adults, okay? So I have to kind of wonder about this, like what happened? So the group of friends on 4th of July travel out there. The boat was left from a private dock in the Ocean Spring area. Okay, this is what the officer said. Nolan was last seen around the island around 3 p.m. Nolan did not return on the boat as, with the group. This is what the sheriff said. From what we understand, he chose to stay there. Now, Nolan's dad, he came out over the weekend and completely dispelled this. He said, we taught him, like, you got to be in a group. You got to be in a group. You got to, you can't, you go together. You don't leave. So that is essentially what the story is that they last saw him at 3 p.m. around 4th of July, and that he stood in the island. Okay. So on Thursday, July 9th, Nolan's friends contacted the agency around 11 p.m. the night of July 4th, and the Coast Guard would not disclose any information about any kind of call to anybody. But apparently, it did not require the Coast Guard assistance when they got the call. So the mom calls Saturday to basically say, her son had not returned home. This is an issue. Then we have July 5th, Sunday, okay? And apparently, right around the afternoon, the Coast Guard said that they had received a message about a search for a missing person in Horn Island in that vicinity. And the Coast Guard said that an urgent marine information broadcast was issued and a helicopter was sent to the area. At about 12:31 p.m., they issued this press release that Nolan described as an 18-year-old black male, 6'1", weighing about 180 pounds. He was last seen on Horn Island Saturday, July 4th, wearing blue swim trunks, no shirt, and sunglasses. Okay. And we have this picture here to kind of show, like, this is what it looks like he was last wearing, what he was last seen wearing around July 4th, 3 p.m. So at about 5:54 p.m., there was a command post that was established, and the sheriff said that multiple agencies joined the search to find Nolan. Okay, so you had the Marine Resource, the National Coast Guard. Ooh, hold up, guys. Sorry, y'all. Baby bunny calls. Yeah. And you said, look at, it's not a remote island. People camp there all the time. Do they have service though? Like, do they get service there in that area? I'm not familiar with it. So if you guys can let me know, because I heard that it was a remote island. I mean, that's how it's been reported. Actually, media is reporting it that way. Other agencies joined in. So there was a bunch of agencies out there. Now, by July 6th, Monday, the United Cajun Navy, another service, right? They took an aircraft to the air before 6 a.m. on Monday. And then they, again, more search boats and vessels were deployed for the search. Now, about 8:45 a.m., the sheriff confirmed to authorities that they received a call reporting a body had been found in the northwestern tip of Horn Island. The body was discovered by the U.S. Park Service Rangers. So Nolan's family was asked to come to the lake, where they met with the sheriff and the coroner. And just about 11 a.m., the family was taken to the coroner's office, and that's where they identified Nolan. Just before 1 p.m., Nolan's family confirmed his death on social media. Now, you know, listen, Linda, like, it's weird the time of events and what's being reported. People doing the most, removing their social medias and everything, right? Because you have to kind of wonder about this. What is going on? So Attorney Crump and the legal team will conduct an independent review, and they've given the press conferences. We talked about that. So, I mean, some of this is not making sense. Now, this photo right here, which was put out by Ben Crump in his social media. Hey, Vilashay, how are you? You said, I'm in MS, and depending on your cell company, yes, you do have service. That's how videos were posted. Vilashay, you said, so there is service out there. So when they talk about a remote island, like, it's not, they got Wi-Fi somewhere in this island. So they're able to get videos. Why was his phone left behind? See what I'm saying? BS, you absolutely leave your phone on your boat unless you want to ruin it in the water. Well, spotty service. But what? Okay, and he was the only one that's supposed to stay there. Was he staying there with anybody else? This is the part that doesn't make sense. And anyways, so the Rolling Stone, which I have a subscription for, a photo of Nolan Wells at a pool party went viral. It's not from July 4th. Where did this photo come from? Now, listen, out of everybody there, okay, Nolan is the one that stands out. And you know it's Nolan because he's looking behind and you can see his face, which is like interesting. Why are we blurring all these people out? But I don't know. Anyways, so this past Sunday, a week after Mississippi, teen Nolan Wells was found dead on a July 4th boat trip. A photo of the teen went viral. Social media users circulated a photo of Wells in the middle of a group of people at a pool party that had been posted on Instagram by another young man on July 5th. July 5th. That's interesting. Yeah, you said it's about 10 miles off the beach. The island was packed for the 4th of July. So that's so interesting. So there could have been a lot of people here, right? Anything and everything could have happened. But wasn't he communicating with the girl? Well, that's what the friend said, Vanessa, that he was communicating with some girl. And then the girl contradicted their story because then she was interviewed by Ben Crump and people, right? I don't know about that. Maybe they remove their social media because they're haters. I don't know how I feel about that. The news said we had about 5,000 to 8,000 people out there in the island alone. How was his phone tracked on the island if there's no service? Make it make sense. I mean, even mom said that they used the Life 360. I use that app all the time, by the way. The Life 360, right? And so I think Life 360 connects to like other apps. Like you can use like Snapchat and stuff like that for it. So yeah, there's a lot of contradictions to this situation. It doesn't make sense. You says the friend said that he went with this girl and disappeared after that, but doesn't make sense his phone would be left on the boat while he went out. Yeah, the girl said that she went with him. Isn't that what Ben Crump said? Well, and then that one of the mamas is like a lawyer, no, excuse me, a judge, not a lawyer, a judge, and the lady removed her social media. She's the only one cooperating. Now, guys, this Nolan is somebody who, like, apparently they all grew up together. They went to high school together. What's the issue? You said they had to leave because their boat was taken on water and they needed to get back to shore. But he couldn't, Nola, he couldn't take no, you're fine, Nola. He couldn't take his phone with him. I'm telling you, it's like different versions. Anyways, it's okay. And I'm glad you guys are here so we could talk about it. So apparently this was a photo that was posted. The Instagram user said that this had been posted July 5th. People who found the photo online assumed it had been taken the night before when Wells went missing. But in reality, the photo was taken on Saturday prior on June 27th at 11:58 p.m. Well, the reason it went viral is because Mr. Crump posted it. So are they just being given random evidence and then he just posted it up there? That's why it went viral? So Mr. Crump says, lawyer Crump says, Nolan Wells reposts from Nolan Wells investigation update. The streets are talking. Now listen, I don't know if these are facts or rumors because no official statement have been confirmed. We sometimes have to follow all clues until the truth is found. Here is what was discovered on social media last night. Social media allegations claim a photo exists of Nolan at a land-based pool party in Jackson County before 1 a.m. on July 5th. I mean, that conflicts the whole thing. You said, well, oh, come on. I'm trying to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. You said, well, it is Crump. But he's not checking anything. He's just posting up the photo. He is saying, we don't know. But somebody said in there, this is after they left in the water. They left in the water? Question mark. If so, perhaps they let those things link because they would rather be called out for reckless abandonment than intend to commit a felony. I'm not an attorney, but I do watch a lot of detective shows. Yo, what? You know what? I'm gonna drop the link in the chat. If anybody wants to come up and take a minute or two and give their thoughts and opinions about this, like, I am so here to hear from other people's opinions. And if you let me know, that way we can plug in your channel. And, you know, maybe the people might like your opinion and they might start following you. I'm dropping the link right there. Let me post it. All you have to do if you're new to StreamYard, just make sure you hook up your hook up your mic and accept it all and everything, okay? And then I'll let you guys in. Okay, the link is pinned in the chat. Let me know what you guys think because I don't know what to think. But you know what? I mean, I think his heart is in the right place. He's trying to find the information. Oh, Vicky, you know what, Vicky? It's not the first time you've called out Crump. We've talked about Crump before. No one calls him out. Nasty work. Anything. Do you think he's wrong for doing this and not checking the information on his own? Friends don't go silent when one of their friends ends up dead or missing. Caddy the Barbie, I agree with you on that. I agree, and I can see the other side of this. I may not talk about it on social media. But I'll talk about it with the people that need to know, like the parents, you know. But I might not talk about it on social media because I want there to be an investigation. They were pushing into silence. Well, drop the link if you guys have something to say. Let me know. You said yes. I not drop the link. I'm sorry. Hit the link if you have something to say. You said it's not real. Those multiple photos pasted together, dude. We don't got time for people to do this, though. Like, we don't have time for people to be stupid. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have time for people to be doing stupid shit when this is like real life. Okay. So I have to say that. I think he's wrong. Well, he does say in the photo, I don't know the facts. He says, listen, the streets are talking. Now listen, I don't know if these are facts or rumors because no official statement has been confirmed. I have to wonder. Have you watched the video of Carlos Moore made? He has a law office here in Mississippi and used to be a judge and was telling how things should have been done. No, but let me know. You said Carlos Moore and he was a former judge. All right, well, let's look for it. Let's look for it. Shout out to V. Lachey. Carlos Moore. Well, listen, friends. I mean, Mississippi judge. I'm not familiar with them. So, former Mississippi judge exposes Nolan Wells' case, calls out who should be arrested. Oh, shit. Is this it right here? Hype? Oh, yes, I am subscribed to them too. I didn't even know. You talk about this one. V. Lachey, is this the one? I don't blame his parents for having me neither. Me neither. I would totally have an independent autopsy. Oh, yeah. I mean, for sure. This is it? Okay, we're going to play it. All right.
Club Fight Plus News, I'm John Abba. Following the latest surrounding the mysterious death of Nolan Wells, a black teen in Mississippi whose body would be found washed ashore after his friends allegedly would leave him on a remote island, a former Mississippi judge is now speaking up and highlighting some key issues he sees with the case. According to former judge, now attorney Carlos Moore, who served in a municipal court in Mississippi for a little over 6 years, someone should have been arrested by now for several different reasons.
Oh, shit.
Moore, who would end up being pushed from the bench after previously speaking out against racial discrimination on social media while serving as a judge, would take to his Facebook page on Friday night for over 30 minutes to air out questionable behavior he sees with how local officials are handling the case from the inside.
Well, already, let's just say this. Let's say this already. We don't see any foul play, but you're still investigating. Okay.
Time out for playing games. It's time to know the truth from someone well versed in it that has actual experience. I've worn the robe, the black robe, and I've presided over these trials or preliminary hearings, arraignments, and initial appearances. Let's get started. So what do we know? We know after watching the parents' interview and reviewing tons of footage from social media, recounting interviews and statements of alleged witnesses that were on Horn Island, we know that Nolan Wells went to spend the night on July the 3rd with his so-called friends. And he went with those so-called friends to Horn Island on a boat on July the 4th. We know that out of the 4 people on that boat, 1 did not return home. That 1 person was Nolan Wells. The other 3 returned home as normal and said nothing to any member of law enforcement or to the Coast Guard until at least 11 p.m. at night on July the 4th. We know that at least 1 of the so-called friends was found with the phone of Nolan Wells. And we know this based on the testimony of...
I can't get over the deleted stuff. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, I can't get over that. Like, deleted? remove everything? You said, why did they have to identify him through dental records if there wasn't foul play? Well, that's the other thing too. Okay, when I think about somebody being identified through dental records, I'm thinking about a person who has been, like, their body is so badly decomposed that you can't even identify them. I mean, we're going to talk about Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Think about that, right? Or think about somebody who's been missing for so many months, weeks. You're talking about somebody in the water for a couple days. They had to identify him through dental records. Does that make sense? I don't know about that too. That I have to question this.
The parents, specifically the mother, who tracked the phone and was led to the home of one of the young men where she retrieved the phone. We also know that based on the mother's testimony that there were no Snapchats from the day, which was very odd for her son. We also know that text messages were deleted. We know that when she was tracking the phone, Life 360 said the phone was one place and Snapchat said it was another place. We know that the boy that had the phone did not voluntarily turn it over or call first. He had to be found through their own investigation. We know that based on witnesses' account, the so-called friends were seen on July the 5th, that Sunday, having breakfast together like nothing had happened. They were not out there searching for their so-called friend. We know that the so-called friends deleted their social media, deactivated their accounts, and scrubbed it clean if the allegations are correct. We know that the young man that had the car at his house did not willingly turn over the keys. At first, he said that he did not have the keys. He didn't know where they were. Then after being pressed by the father, he finally turned over the keys. This is all very suspicious activity. We know that based on an audio recording and some video that Nolan Wells can be heard saying, "Give me my freaking keys." Excuse me, "Give me my freaking phone." And there's been two different versions. Some say he said, "Give me my freaking phone," or some say he said, "Give me my MF phone." Regardless, he was asking or demanding his phone. Someone had his phone who did not have permission to have his phone. So the first thing I see, the simplest thing I see, is who had his phone and why? And was that theft of the phone?
Oh, okay.
Sometimes we look at the largest.
I didn't think of it that way. You said if allegations are correct, the keyword is if. You said, yes, the identification and the temp of the water. Yes, the water and the temp make the identification difficult. Gotcha. You said, I wonder if Nolan's phone plan is under their parents. They should be able to pull up the records. It's just dental. So I'm just wondering, man. For me, it's like, I don't know. I don't know the judge, right? And I don't know why he was removed. To me, that's not really a factor in here, but I feel like, and I saw this the last time we talked, and I know Vicky, my mod, was here too when this was happening. You have people, and I get it, and I try to tell you guys, like, I can't speak for the, Mississippi, South experience. I'm hearing what's going on. And I'm the kind of person that I'm not the I don't see color crowd. Like, listen, I have my own live experience, and you guys have your own live experience of certain things. But I'm not going to act like the good old boy doesn't exist, because I worked in government. I saw it there all the time. So I'm just not going to play a blind side or a blind eye to this. You know what I mean? At the same time, I think that a judge pointing this out, former judge. There's something to be said about this, right? Like, we can't just ignore it. That's just how I see it, you know?
This case, we try to get to murder, but the person that took his phone committed a crime right there. There are witnesses to who took that phone. If an affidavit is signed, an arrest warrant could be signed by a judge in Mississippi to go after that person that had that phone unlawfully.
Yanni, you said it. Considering material evidence of an active investigation, why wasn't the person that was keeping the phone under arrest? Could be considered interfering with an investigation. That's a criminal offense. That's a great question, right? I want to understand this. And why did the friend tell Nolan's dad that Nolan was a good friend when he gave him the keys? That's so weird to me. It was sus to me if he claimed to arrive later. Why take his car? If you said, if I were the family, I would see if Cellbrite can pull anything from the phone. Could be very telling. Who was driving the boat? That's a great question. I do not know. All right, let's keep going, okay?
We know, based on his own words, Nolan Wells' words while he was alive, he did not give whoever had that phone permission to have that phone. So was that theft? I think if an affidavit is signed, if it was presented to me when I was a judge, I would have signed an arrest warrant for the person for theft of that phone, based on what I've heard. It'd have to be an affidavit format, but if it was presented to me, an affidavit format from law enforcement, I would sign the arrest warrant for, at least at this point, theft of the man's phone. We know who had it. We know who didn't report it to the family. The family had to go find it. And we know that Nolan Wells said, give it back to him. And evidently it was not given back to him. Why was that? All of the other things I've stated, you piece it together. Is there enough right now for arrest warrants for murder? That is a good question. I do know at this point there should have been search warrants signed by a judge. Evidence should have been presented to a judge by now. We are nearly 7 days after July the 4th, when he was first reported missing. There should have been evidence submitted by Jackson County.
Why didn't they? Right, Vicky, they can pick him up on the felony theft. The phone is over the amount of a misdemeanor, like 1,000. Then you go from there, right? Here's the other question I have. Like, so Abraham says, this is a interesting point. Like, who was driving the, usually you have a captain. Well, y'all remember a couple weeks ago, we were talking about the young woman in Tennessee who was in a patio boat, right? And she was like left behind. They found her body and everything. Well, the guy was drinking. Right. So I wonder if it was like a young kid or an actual captain or anything at this point, you know.
Law enforcement agents, the sheriff's department specifically, presented to a judge so that search warrants could be signed by the judge, and there needs to be, or should have been, someone questioning the young men, the three so-called friends, and others, and the social media accounts need to be searched by now, or at least a search warrant should have been issued for the appropriate entities to give the law enforcement access to the social media information. That should have been done by now. I'm not telling you what I imagine. I'm telling you what the process usually is. When you
I mean, an investigation is an investigation. Let's treat it like as such. First, somebody says, personally, I would expect Cellbrite or I wouldn't expect Cellbrite or any service provider to share anything without a court order, even if it's information they expect you would normally have. How is he going to do Snapchat when his phone was not even on the boat because he don't get signal? Well, my understanding is that he always used Snapchat, and even those snaps were deleted or disappeared, right? Are people being paid to not create these warrants? I don't know, man. Are we picking and choosing who's going to get a warrant, who's going to get a warrant? Unfortunately, if they have no direct evidence of wrongdoing, there will be no charges. If they have no evidence of wrongdoing, what would that look like in a situation like this? I mean, if we have this thing called circumstantial evidence, we've convicted people for less. We've charged people for less. So, and I'm not saying, look, I don't know, I'm not an investigator, but I'm just wondering, like, some ain't right about this situation. It just doesn't make sense the way in which all of this has been handled, right?
Trying to do a thorough investigation. And based on what's revealed from a thorough investigation, I do believe once the evidence is secured, it's going to lead, and it should lead to the arrest of one or more individuals for the murder of Nolan Wells. All of the actions are very suspicious, and right now they lead one to believe that one or more persons could have been involved with the death of Nolan Wells. Right now we have a lot of unsworn testimony, but once that is put into affidavit format and there is corroborating evidence through social media, computers, or otherwise, I believe that at that point there will be enough evidence for a judge to sign an arrest warrant. I think critical evidence that's missing right now are the results of the autopsy, the state's autopsy and the independent autopsy. That's going to be critical information. And that alone, or that in connection with what's already known, may be enough to lead to an arrest or arrest. We do know at this point, low-hanging fruit. There should be an investigation about the underage drinking, who provided the alcohol. Those individuals could be immediately arrested based on if there was any sworn testimony presented to a judge. I believe a judge could immediately sign an arrest warrant for those who provided alcohol to underage individuals. There's a lot of people and a lot of potential.
Was he drinking? That's the other question that I have too. I mean, it's kind of these parties, man. These parties are kind of like that. Like, it's a stupid question, but it's a question that you have to kind of ask. Now, the friend, somebody had mentioned the friend's name here, Tracy and Shepard, who basically talked about the photo and also the voice yelling, the yelling of the voice. So we'll get into that here.
Crimes, some misdemeanors and felonies that people could be held accountable for. Was there any boating while intoxicated? Who was the captain of the boat? And what did he allow on his boat?
But I'm just asked that in the chat.
If there were any illegal drugs possessed by anyone, drugs are still illegal in Mississippi, at least they were when I was on the bench. Drug possession, drug use, selling of drugs, dealing drugs.
What about marijuana in Mississippi? Is that still, y'all have everybody's got recreational at this point, right? Or am I just living under? I'm thinking everybody's on the recreational, which shout out to you if you are. But I'm like, but again, he wouldn't be old enough to possess it and also buy it.
And drugs. You've heard testimony or allegations, at least. I don't think anything's been put in affidavit format yet about rampant drug use among certain individuals. So there are a lot of things that's been alleged. Once put into the correct format, affidavit-wise, it could lead to arrests for several things, including misdemeanors and maybe even felonies. So there's a lot left to do. We are not rushing to judgment, but I just thought I would come on here and tell you that there definitely should be search warrants issued by now, and there could be arrest warrants for certain crimes issued by now. But for the ultimate crime of murder, it is probably wise to wait to see what the autopsy reveals, or both autopsies reveal, and then parcel that together with all the video footage, all the witness statements taken, any affidavits gathered, and then make a decision, get it all to a judge at that point, for a judge to decide whether or not to sign a warrant.
I have to wonder about this. You said so for Mississippi, you only get medical marijuana. Yeah, no, I know federally it's still not legal, but state level, in some states, at least the state that I live in, I know other states, you can use it recreationally. It's like anything else. But yeah, if there were underage drinking or drug use, that would definitely make young people shut up, unfortunately. Yeah. In Florida, you have to, yeah, some of it. Oh, really? I thought Florida, Abraham, Florida, you can't use it recreationally? Yo, a lot of southern states don't allow medical. Oh my God. I'm sorry. Y'all can see that we use it recreationally. I mean, clearly. Oh my gosh. Not Indiana, no rec? In most red states. Well, there you go. I'm telling you, some of y'all would have been some of y'all would have been really some of y'all need it. I'm just gonna say that. Some of y'all need it. Some of y'all need it, okay? But it's only recreational in Missouri. Gotcha. Recreational marijuana is illegal in Mississippi. Oh my God. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It's not even legal to see. I haven't even checked. I don't know, man.
For the rest of one or more individuals. It would be very interesting to see what the autopsy shows. There's also a potential for kidnapping. It needs to be looked at whether or not they can get to murder. Was there kidnapping? Was this young man taken somewhere against his will at any point? Was there abuse of a corpse even after he died? So there's a lot of things that need to be looked at from various law enforcement perspectives. Law enforcement has to do their job and get the information to a judge in the right format before a judge can act. Had I still been on the bench, if I wanted to act, I could not act unilaterally. I would have to wait till law enforcement brought me the evidence in the right format before I could sign an arrest warrant, before I could sign a search warrant. And so that's how the process works. That's how the process works. And so I am happy to be a retired judge. I'm always going to shoot it to you straight with no chaser. Straight with no chaser. I will tell you the God honest truth. I can tell you this one thing. I may have been born at night, but I was not born last night.
I was waiting for that when he said that. Hold up. You said, so Texas, no recreational, but medical marijuana is legal only in limited circumstances through the Texas Compassionate Use Program. So would that be, so that's medical. Like you'd have to have like I'm assuming, Vicky, do you have to have like one of the, like a cancer or like a certain life-threatening illness type of situation? I'm telling you, man, if everybody was if we would be so much better if we stop it. I'm telling you, some people really do need to use it. Some of y'all really need it. I'm just saying. You said Texas on some BS on the weekend. I'm sorry. I forgot to ask. It's been years. Like I think we probably have more dispensaries than we have Starbucks. Like that's how recreational we are. We have more dispensaries than we have more Starbucks. And y'all know there's a lot of Starbucks. We probably got more dispensaries than we got more, than Starbucks. So that should tell you. But yeah.
And one thing about it, you cannot fool the informed. I've been on the inside. I know the process, and we will not sit quietly and allow this to be swept under the rug. I will call your hand. I will call your hand. You're not going to play these people for a fool. You are not going to play these people for a fool. We know the process, and we know what you should be doing. And by God, I plan to make sure you do it, or we're going to call you out each and every time. There is a process. What I do know is, had the roles been reversed, by now, there would likely have been already arrests made. It wouldn't have taken all 6 days, 7 days, whatever amount of days it's going to take. Had the roles been reversed, the wheels of justice spin quickly. Somebody would have been arrested for something by now. But since the roles are what they are, we are expected to be patient, and they're going to cross every T and they're going to dot every I in the investigation before they make.
Man, I sure hope so. I don't like the start so far. I'm be honest with you. I sure hope, and you know, and I'm not trying to be pessimistic at all. Please note that. But oh my God, guys, come on, like I sure hope so. I sure hope that they you know, dot every I and cross every T, because it's just crazy work.
Make a move because of the people that are potentially involved. And that's the way the criminal justice system works, unfortunately. If you have access to power or money, in some instances, if you're the right color or the right hue, you will get the benefit of the doubt. And regardless of all of that, based on what I've heard, not in the affidavits I've seen, if the affidavits come to support what I've heard, I do believe, especially with the autopsy, once that is in, and then if we look at the body to see if there were any bruises or anything else, it should.
That's the other thing too, the bruising of the body and everything. And I'm glad that they're doing this outside of Mississippi, right? I think did they say that they flew him out to DC or something to that effect? Literally. You said we have them on every court. I hope so, Sister Karen. I hope so, because I just don't know what to think. Like I said, I would have gotten an independent autopsy too.
Lead to the arrest of one or more individuals for murder, for accessory to murder, for conspiracy to commit murder, aggravated assault, kidnapping, and a list of other possible things. But right now, I could say that based on that video evidence of him demanding his phone back, someone could immediately be arrested for theft, wrongful conversion of his property. So, and once you make that first arrest, you start putting pressure on people. It becomes very serious at that point. No one wants their loved ones sitting behind bars, even jail bars, definitely not prison bars. So it becomes very serious at that point. And there are persons of interest that should have been interviewed by now, should have been questioned, picked up and taken to the station, even if they didn't voluntarily go. There are certain people that should be classified as suspects by now. They should not just be persons of interest. They should be actual suspects.
Yeah. Are you? Yeah, Kelly, I heard that the video had been debunked. I could be wrong, guys, but let me know, because I heard this too. But we can watch it. Actually, the friend did the interview. So let's talk about that. But my thing is like this photo that they put up there. I mean, the internet went wild when they saw that photo. We can't even determine the date. And it turns out we did. It was June 27th, not anywhere near July, June 27th.
I do not agree with the sheriff saying right now foul play is not suspected. He should have said right now it is too early to tell one way or the other if he was going to say anything and try to be fair and impartial. Because all of this suspicious stuff, the suspicion and the actions of the individuals themselves lead you to believe that something is awry. And the stories are not adding up. The stories are not adding up. So if you believed that he stayed with a young lady, why were you calling the Coast Guard at 11 p.m. at night on July the 4th? And why did the Coast Guard somehow forget that and then remember it? And it's just very strange. And why would you lawyer up before there is even a body found? If my best friend died by drowning.
Childhood friend, not the best friend. Now, again, I'm not opposed to people lawyering up. I get it. But it's the childhood best friend. Okay? Childhood best friend. To me, there are some friends. I unfortunately never kept in contact with them because I moved around a lot when I was a kid. But there's some stuff that I would just make sure that my friend's family knew anything and everything that might have happened, right? Because that's what you do. You tell people what happened. You don't just leave people like that. These are this is like, to me, childhood friend is like family, right?
Accidentally The last thing I'm going to be doing is hiring a lawyer. I'm going to be too busy grieving my friend's accidental death. And I would not, in my wildest imagination, ever think that anyone would suspect me of a crime. Accidents happen all of the time. All of the time. And one thing about it, if I had been there when he drowned, I would probably been so exhausted from trying to save him that I wouldn't have time to think about hiring a lawyer, or time for my parents to think about hiring a lawyer. And if I am recalling things correctly, I do believe that one of those young people's parents went out to the island. Now, this is a bunch of young folks. I believe one of the mothers got on Facebook and said she went to the island at some point. Why was she there? What was she doing? She was not in their age group. I don't know too many parents that go to a teenage gathering, a young person's gathering. What was she doing? I'm curious to know.
Well, if there was alcohol, who bought the alcohol too? There's that too. Whose boats are these? Whose boats are these? These boats belong to people, right? Whose are they? Another thing.
I'm not even on the bench anymore, but I'm very curious to know what she was out there doing and who she may have been coaching, or what she may have been an accessory to. It's very odd that she was out there, because I'm sure she was not on the guest list. When I tell you I'm tired, it's because I am. It's time for us to have the knowledge. I got my law degree in 2002. So you're looking at somebody that has nearly a quarter of a century of experience in the legal realm. I spent 6.5 years on the bench. I am not going to mislead you, because too many of us have gone along to get along for too long.
There you go.
I have to meet my makers face in peace. I have to look myself in the mirror. I'm not going to betray you. Enough is enough is enough. I know no one wants to see their loved one go to prison or be held accountable. But if the shoe fits, you might as well get ready to wear it. No one is above the law. And if you can't do your job because you're friends with certain people, you need to recuse yourself. Recuse yourself and let somebody that can do their job correctly do it.
Recuse it. Tell on yourself.
I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone may have about the process or anything I just said. There is a criminal justice process. And I know how things should go. And when they don't go as they should, you have to ask yourself why. Again, I'm Judge Carlos Moore. I've been coming to you live from Atlanta, Georgia. I've been living here now nearly 3 years, but Mississippi is home. The Gulf Coast is home. I know several members of the Wells family and the Wansley family, and again, they have my deepest condolences for their loss. It's tragic. Tragic. Folks that you trusted your loved one to spend time with left an island without having the decency to account for your son. That's that.
Does he? Okay, Nola, I'm gonna challenge you a little bit. Does he have the capability to find kids guilty because they're white? He's just a commentator online. He's into his opinion. That's it. You can't say nobody's talking about guilt right now. We're trying to figure out what happened. But if your friend is white, purple, black, whatever, okay, and they're your childhood friend, and they're acting on the defense, I have questions. And coming from the side of, I'm a parent, okay? I'm going to ask the questions. I don't care, right? Like, we have to be able to ask questions. He's an online commentator. There is no guilt right now. But he's allowed to his opinion. And the other side to this too, I'm not going to, and I told you guys, let's not act like it's not real. But yet the race card is being played. Okay. So that's the lived experience of many individuals, right? Are we just going to act like it's not real? We don't see it? I don't know about you guys, but I mean, I see it every day. Every day. So if we going to get hung up on, well, they're white, they're this, guys, look at the picture. Okay. It was Nolan and his group of friends, and they're all white. And you know what his family said? He is a very peaceful kid. He doesn't like conflict. Okay. So what happened? Why are his childhood friends acting this way? That's what I want to know. So let's not act like we don't see the race. I'm not for that. I don't buy the agenda that we're all getting along together. I'm sorry, y'all. I see race. The people that say I see no color, what are you talking about? It's there. It's there. It reminds you every day. Every day, there's something about color. So I'm not going to ignore it. I just don't. I don't buy that. Right. And I'm also not going to ignore the fact that there's treatment that we need to consider. We need to think about this. Now, could we say we really need to get to the facts, regardless of whether Nolan is white, black, whatever? Yes, that's correct. We do need to get to those facts. But let's not act like we can't see the other stuff that's blind. It's obvious. And this judge, being a black American man, he sees what he sees. I don't know what his experience is. That's where I'm coming from. If y'all want to get hung up on that, get hung up on it. You're not going to go anywhere. Let's figure out what happened to this young man. Let's figure out why these individuals aren't talking.
I can't imagine the level of pain. And I've heard some people say that the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division should come in and investigate, or the FBI, MBI, who actually has jurisdiction to do this. Those are good questions. We may need more assistance besides the local law enforcement to get down to the bottom of this. If there's anyone that's truly willing to live up to the oath they took, they swore as a law enforcement officer, as a judge, if you're willing to live up to that oath and be unbiased and do a true investigation and consider the facts fairly, please step up. And if you can't do the job fairly, please step aside. This is too serious. You have too many educated people watching this case now, and we're not going to let you get away with murder, potentially with no one being held accountable. We're not going to do it. Whoever did something untoward needs to be held accountable, needs to go before a jury of their peers, and need to let that jury of their peers decide their guilt or innocence. The standards for an arrest warrant is simple: probable cause to believe a crime has been committed. The judge has to have probable cause, more likely than not, that a crime has been committed for an arrest warrant to be signed. It's not beyond a reasonable doubt. It's probable cause, more likely than not. That's a very low burden to meet. And the evidence needs to get to a judge pretty soon. We know that won't be the end all. Just because there will be an arrest at some point, I do believe it's still going to be a long process. The local judge, the municipal judge, as I was, will have to do the arraignment and decide whether or not the individual or individuals get bail and what that bail amount will be. If it's a capital offense or if it's a...
And I think it's just speaking like moving forward and stuff like that. If something were to be deemed what is happening, it's not about race. Just say you don't understand the social system of behavior and systemic power structures. LOL. It would be more. That's what I'm saying. It's like, even in our last conversation about this, it got a little heated because, I think it's okay to say, guys, I don't understand. Okay. Because I don't live it and I don't get it. I don't understand. I respect the person. And I've seen it, like when people genuinely are trying to seek to understand, you're not going to get reprimand or yelled at or anything out of love. Like, I don't understand what okay, so does this happen here? Maybe I'm not from Mississippi. I don't see this. I'm not from there either. Right. But I'm not going to take that lived experience from another person. We just don't know. But anyways, let's keep going.
First degree murder charge or manslaughter charge, whatever it may be, kidnapping, aggravated assault, that the judge will have to set bail or decide or deny it. Will the persons be flight risk? All that has to be taken into consideration. From there, there will be a preliminary hearing likely where the evidence will be presented to that local judge, who will get to decide whether or not to bind it over to a grand jury or to dismiss the charge. Once it's bound over to a grand jury, it'll be up to the grand jury to decide what to actually indict the individuals for. And then once there is an indictment or indictments are secured, individuals will have to stand trial, or if they plead not guilty, they get to stand trial. Otherwise, if they plead guilty, it could go immediately to sentencing. You would expect, based on what I've seen so far, that there won't be any guilty pleas automatically, and this probably will go to trial. You have contradicting stories. You have Katie that's saying one thing. You have the young men that's saying another. I see Katie has not lawyered up, from what I have been told, and she's been speaking freely, and her family's been speaking freely. Whereas I understand that some others have decided not to speak to the press and have lawyered up. And people are entitled in this country. You are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. There's nothing wrong with lawyering up. In fact, if it was my family,
there you go. He says that if it was my family, I lawyered up. There's nothing wrong. Like I said, I mean, we even said it last time. If you're lawyering up because that's what you're supposed to do, okay, I get it. At the same time, you know, somebody you grew up with, this is somebody, hey, I don't know how I could never live with myself if that was the case. Like, knowing that maybe I saw something or didn't say something or could have saved somebody, like he said, yeah, you would have had to yank me out of the water. But maybe they were drinking. Maybe they were incoherent, so much to the point that they didn't realize. Maybe he, I don't know, was somehow drunk and was in the water, like he was left in the water. I don't know. But it's always smart. I said the same. Yeah, everybody would lawyer. Like, nobody's shitting on anybody for lawyering up. It's a simple fact that we're getting inconsistent stories. You know what I mean? And I think it's okay to say that. Call it out.
would advise my family to remain quiet too. That's what lawyers do. We advise them to remain quiet. They have a right to remain quiet. And a lot of times you remain quiet for good reason, because anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. But people also have a right to be suspicious of why individuals lawyered up so fast. Why are they not talking? This is serious. It's serious business. People's potential freedom are on the line, and somebody has lost their life. Someone has lost their life. At least the people that's alive still have a fighting chance. You never know what a jury in Mississippi will do. We do know that no one ever was held accountable for Emmett Till's murder, despite the evidence, the overwhelming evidence. No one was ever held accountable. I can only hope and pray that in 2026, 2027, should the facts be presented to a jury of peers, that it'll be given reasonable consideration, and that if the facts are provable beyond a reasonable doubt, that the individuals that may soon be arrested and tried for the death, for their role in the death of Nolan Wells, will be held accountable. That's all we can hope and pray for, and we will have to live with whatever the jury's verdict is, because in this country, if you go through the entire process, we live with the verdict of the jury. It has to be a unanimous verdict, and they get to decide guilt or an acquittal. And if they cannot agree, it's a hung jury, and the prosecution gets to decide if they try the case again. They can continue to try it again until they get a unanimous decision one way or the other. So it's gonna be a long road ahead. Keep the Wells and Wansley's family in your prayers. They have to deal with all of this in a very public light. They are not allowed to grieve privately because of the very public nature of this death. And so it's a lot to process. One day your life is going as normal, and the next day you are thrown in the limelight. But I applaud the parents for standing together and fighting for answers. And they have been very good. They are not accusing anybody of anything. They just simply want answers. And once those answers are given and properly investigated, they are hoping that the right thing is done. And that's my hope too. Whatever the evidence leads to, as long as there has been a thorough investigation, I'm willing to accept that. But I do not want anyone getting any favoritism. I want a complete, thorough investigation. And I'm glad another independent investigation is going alongside the law enforcement investigation. Again, I had the privilege of serving the great people of Mississippi, because the people of Mississippi, for a large part, certain people I consider great in Mississippi. I used to call the state great. I no longer will refer to it as a great state of Mississippi, because it still has a lot of growing to do. It's not a place that I feel comfortable living any longer and raising my family. And I would encourage any of my friends to move to Mississippi in its current configuration. It's a dangerous place. It's a dangerous place with a deep-seated racism. And they are known to try to keep Black people in their place. So no matter what your socioeconomic status is as a Black person in Mississippi, they are known to try to keep you in your place. And one thing about me, I decided what my place was. No one else got to decide what that place was. And my place was equal with theirs. And in my eyes, I was always equal, never beneath. My parents raised me to believe you're no better than anyone and you're no worse than anyone. You're equal. I believe that, and I do believe that's how we all should be treated. Equal justice under the law. And all men are created equal, and we are endowed with unalienable rights. I believe that. And America will be forced to live up to his promise. It will be forced to live up to his promise. I could go on and on, but I have been here to express from my viewpoint the perch that I had as one who wore the robe, and not one, but 2 jurisdictions in Mississippi, where I signed countless search warrants and arrest warrants. I know the process, and I'm happy to have enlightened you on tonight. Please share this with your friends. Let them hear it from the horse's mouth, because people will have you to believe that you're crazy based on your suspicions. A lot of your suspicions and what you're saying, you're dead on, you're dead right. You're hitting the nail on the head. Keep asking the questions, keep prodding. And if you ever want to know if you're on the right track, I'm just a chat or email away.
That was interesting.
Report.
Shout out to the judge. I decide what my place is. Damn, I like that, right? Because ultimately that's kind of where it comes down to. Well, that was heavy. That was some heavy stuff right there. Let's see. You said it's the inconsistencies and lack of being forthcoming with the evidence. No one is saying they're automatically guilty. It's just that it's suspicious. We're observing patterns of behavior. Yeah. And I think, like I said, you have to recognize that there are some places, if you're in the United States, there are some places in America that they're not right. It's not right. It's not safe. It's not safe because, whatever history carries, Mississippi happens to be one of those. I've never been. I went to Ohio one time. I think I went to Ohio in this area. Was it Canton, Ohio? Further down. Oh my God. I never felt so out of place. That was years ago. I was like, damn, what in the, because it just felt so, you get stared at, and it's just a different little town that I'd never been to before. And I was like, oh, this is so weird. I've never had so many people stare at me, if that makes sense. It's just different. No, the autopsy has not come back yet. That's been answered already in there. You said Mississippi still has sun. That's what I heard. And would you care to explain to the people in the chat what sundown towns mean? Because some people don't know. And if you can help and just let the people know what that means. Some people don't know what that means. Does this guy have any direct involvement with the case? No, he's an online judge commentator. UK is getting bad too, Rabbit. Yeah, it's like every day. See, some people, thank you, DeMarie. Some people don't know. So if people can explain in the chat, I'll let the chat, explain that. Some people do not know. See, genuinely do not know what that means. See, Vicky says the South has sundown. Can somebody in the chat explain what sundown means? Like, I'm looking in the chat, guys, and there's people that do not understand what that means. Thank you. If you are Black, you must be out of town by sundown, or you may not see the sunrise. Hopefully you guys can pick up what she's dropping. Clearly Shelly there. So we're not, this is why I tell you guys, I can't sit here and act like a situation like race doesn't exist or it's not a thing. We're just not going to do that because, myself, I hear about all this ICE stuff that's happening. It gets to me too. And, I'm first generation. Like, I see this shit. A lot of it's just like, everyone is facing something every day. I'm trying to see if the interview was it Good Morning America. Here it is. So apparently the people are calling out in the chat that there's some contradictions between the friend and everything. The friend, I think his name is, what's his name? Did I say Trayson? I saw the picture. Hold up. Let me see. Yes, Trayson Shepard, a close friend of Wells, confirms that the pool party photograph was taken Saturday, June 27th. A separate person provided Rolling Stone with metadata from the pool party photo, as well as a similar group photo taken that night. So the photo that Ben Crump posted is, I guess they're saying, they're debunking it. They're saying that it was a June 27th photo. But yes. It is scary. Thank you. You said a sundown town was a predominantly white community in the United States that intentionally excluded people of color, particularly Black Americans, from living there on or remaining after sunset. Yep. Thank you. Thank you. No, I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Because like I said, guys, there's some people do. I hear these terms too. I know what they mean, but some people don't, and it's okay to ask the question. Like, I don't know what that means, and there's a lot of people here that may not know because they might be from a different town. We got people from the UK. We got people from different areas. It's always good to learn. So thank you guys for that. All right, let me hit play on this, and yeah.
I just know I've lost my best friend.
This morning, a friend of Nolan Wells, who was with the 18-year-old the day he was last seen alive, is sharing what he says happened during a July 4th boat trip to an isolated barrier island off the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Trayston Shepard declined to speak with us on camera because he says he and his friends are getting threats.
We did no wrong here, and we don't understand how we're getting so much hate behind it. We all cared and loved Nolan, and nobody wanted to see Nolan die. Nobody wanted to see his life be taken so short.
Shepard addressed this viral video that investigators have been studying. Wells's parents worried it showed their son involved in a confrontation, but Shepard said that's him, not Wells.
That's the video I'm referring to. That's me yelling.
Shepard says he took a boat back from Horn Island in the late afternoon, but Wells...
Whoa. So that's the friend in the voice? The friend is confirming that was him?
...stayed behind with a girl he had met.
They met that day, and it was kind of one of those things. It did come off that day that he really did like her, but that was the only time they'd ever hung out was at Horn.
But the girl said that they met that day. He did come off that day that he did like her. But okay, let's keep going.
Island on July 4th.
Investigators believe Wells drowned and say there were no immediate signs of foul play. But there is growing frustration in the community, and his parents are skeptical, telling GMA Wells left his phone behind and they tracked it to one of his friends.
It was showing everywhere the phone had been, I was like, well, it's showing that he's back on land.
The sheriff said the parents have not turned over the phone to investigators. Their lawyer said they will. While the investigation goes on, Trayston Shepard wants the focus on his friend.
I want everybody just to relax and let everybody mourn the loss of Nolan and let us remember him as in the sweet guy. I think everybody needs to let the investigation continue and let the facts be shown.
Yeah.
Shepard has spoken with the police guys and the...
you know what? Two of you guys picked that up too. 3 people. Abraham said his life be taken so short. That's telling because he didn't say lose his life. Yeah, you lost her. Weird verbiage. He said life taken. That's not what you say when you think accident. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's just...
Sheriff told us that both he and all of Wells's friends have been cooperative. We're still waiting on the results of the official autopsy and the independent autopsy the family has ordered, hoping to get the Wells family the answers that they so desperately seek. Guys.
So good to have you there, Aaron, and your investigative team, because so many people are wanting to have a thorough investigation. Thank you. And when you spoke with the parents, that's what they said, as any parents would. All they want to know, the facts, and let the investigation, enough of the speculation, let there be investigation.
Well, I mean, and I'm sorry, but I am going to say this. Some people might not like me saying this, but Mr. Ben Crump posting this and keeping it up, this isn't helping either. This isn't helping either. You know what I mean? Speculation, I got it, but I wouldn't have posted this up because, I mean, when I saw this, I'm thinking something else. It's not helpful, right? Could we agree to that? Maybe he needs to remove this photo because it's definitely giving a different message. I don't know. Truth will come out. Young kids talk. Yeah, They do. Hopefully that this is the case. And that's why you don't speak without an attorney. You know, he said he was at all the parties, white, you said he was at all the white parties looking for a white girl. People grew up there. Don't allow that. Oof. Wow. You said, yeah, there's so much more. I think it helps. I believe that too. You believe that too? Like, this doesn't really help. This photo doesn't help. Just saying. Thoughts, opinions about that? You know, clearly we have a lot of questions, but yeah, he's such a young man. Was that? No. So apparently this was from June. Ben Crump posted this a day ago. And he put it on the is this oh Lord have mercy, Chanel Tarot TV. So he says social media allegations claim a photo exists of Nolan at the land-based pool party in Jackson County before 1 a.m. on July 5th. Chanel Tarot TV. He got the photo from the Chanel Tarot TV lady. Wrong date. They got the metadata, and it was actually from June 27th. Yeah, no. You said if it's an old pig, then he needs to take. That's what I'm saying. I take it down if it's an old pig. You think those kids did something to cause his death? You know? Yeah. Vicky, I'm like, yeah, my face is kind of like that too. Interracial marriage was still illegal in 1995, and those kids' parents would have. That is insane. Interracial marriage? I mean, like I said, I'm still kind of like caught up with the fact that y'all can't like have a little flower without it, like a recreational flowers. Hey man, I don't know. I'm just like, I'm so surprised. I mean, people would be so nicer if they had a little recreational flower every once in a while. Y'all, you know, I'm saying it's good because it helps people. I would probably choose recreational flowers over anything else. You know what I mean? Y'all don't know how racist Mississippi still is. Okay. You said this is so backwards to me. I agree. You said I watched a documentary with Morgan Freeman in 2008. The students wanted one prom. Oh my God, I remember that. The prom where it was like an interracial, and that was in 2008. We're still dealing with this. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like you can't sit here and take from somebody else's experience and say it's not real when you don't live there and you don't know. This is why we have to be very careful. I always side eye, and I mean, you know, it's okay, like, because I could see people saying this where it's like, well, we just don't see color. I don't see color. I must not have any racist stereotypes. No, my friends. Just because you can have a prom and you don't have issues like that. But in some towns, you have this. I mean, you still have sundown. You can't make this shit up. Like, it's real. It's just not happening to you, you know? I don't know, man. I don't know. Wow. Thank you. You said laws against interracial marriage may have been on the books in 1995, but the U.S. Supreme Court struck down those laws in 1967. See Loving v. Virginia. Hey, question for celebrities. What about that prom one? That with the one that she was just talking about? Because I remember that there was like an HBO documentary or something. I remember that. You know? You said interracial marriage was legal in Mississippi in 1995. Sorry for the all caps. You're fine. You're fine, love. You said my rabbit issue is if it isn't 4th of July, why does one dude have U.S. shaved into his hair chest? Rabbit, my issue is if it isn't 4th of July, why does one dude have USA shaved into his hair chest? Oh, I don't know. I don't know, man. Yeah. Thank you for saying this. This is so true. You don't say that. Don't say. I'm telling you, people, don't be saying that you don't see color. It is a microaggression. Yes, it is. Don't say that. Don't say that. If you don't see color, then you don't see me. There you go. You can't see people. Thank you for saying this, but this is true. It is a microaggression. I do believe it shouldn't be focused on race, but foul play. The way the media and the police handles it is why race is being brought up. Well, wouldn't that be because of race? I mean, I don't know. It's kind of hard to. You missed the prom thing. So 2008, Morgan Freeman did a documentary. I forget what town it was. Somebody put it in the chat where they were doing their first, was it integrated prom or something? I remember the documentary because Morgan Freeman was, he was narrating it. Now, here's the question that I have too. Was it Morgan Freeman? Is he the one that, why is this in my head? There's a, he had a recent diagnosis, right? I was thinking about him because I read an article. Wasn't he diagnosed with not ALS? There was something else. Alzheimer's. He just had a diagnosis of Alzheimer's. But yeah, he did a documentary. Very interesting documentary where it was a high school that they were trying to like have a prom and needed to be like a they couldn't have an integrated prom. Like it was so weird. And that was in 2008, but yeah, it was weird. 2009, it was in Mississippi. That was what? Less than 20 years ago? Right? Crazy. People are killed all the time. There is. I think that there's a lot. Yeah, I heard about that. Was it Morgan Freeman who was recently diagnosed? Danny Glover. Thank you for correcting me. It wasn't Morgan Freeman. I was thinking about Morgan Freeman. Danny Glover is the one. Not Danny Glover. Danny Glover. Okay, like, sorry, I'm going to try to ease us off. You cannot forget Danny Glover's movies. Oh my God. I didn't know he was 79 years old. Lethal Weapon, all the Lethal Weapons, of course. What else? Was it the first Night of the Living Dead or Night of the Living Dead? Hold up. Because this was Night of the Living Dead. Yes, it was. The first movie that I remember seeing as a child. No, not the 1968 version. Which one? Which one was it? Or was that? Man, I can't even remember. Anyways, let me stop. No, it wasn't The Color Purple. The Color Purple, of course, is Danny Glover. There was another one. No, there was a horror movie. I can't remember. I thought it was Danny Glover who played Maine. It was a horror movie. Let me see something real quick. I bet you I'm not making this up. Hold up. It was like one of the first horror movies I ever saw. Hold up. Yeah, I know he was on The Color Purple. That's like a given. The Day of the Mummy, The Dead Don't Die. There was another one. Or am I confusing it with somebody else? Man, I think I'm tired. I might be confusing it with somebody else. Hold up. Older movies. Predator? No. Was it Predator or was it Saw? Anyways, let me stop. Damn, he's like young. He looks so young. Danny Glover looks young to me. It just like he never ages. He never ages. Both. Yes, I am confusing them. Thank you. You said, Rabbit, there was a report last year about a group that is trying to start the all-white community in the Ozarks. The group is called Return to the Land. He wasn't Saw, but I think that's where I'm confusing him. Thank you. No, not Beloved. Yes, I know. Color Purple, Beloved. I mean, those are classics. I saw him in those. Man, nobody liked him in The Color Purple. I think anybody liked him in The Color Purple. But yes, Belen, really? An all-white community in the Ozarks. The group is called Return to the Land. Sounds like a cult. Sounds like a cult. That's crazy work, man. That is insane. You said, so true. It's much more common in places realize. You said, yeah, I could drop the link. Let's see. For those that want to give commentary about the Nancy Grace. Let me put that down. I got like 25 minutes or so. No, you know what? I think you're right. I think I'm confusing it with Saw. Thank you. There was a movie though. Anyways, let me stop. There's a. Why am I thinking about Night of the Living Dead? Because that's not it. You said Walter, stop spreading lies. Who's spreading lies? You said I heard some high schools have segregation and problems. I don't know about that. That'd be. Could we look into that? That'd be great. Switch back to Danny Glover. Danny Glover. Was Danny? I don't think Danny Glover was in Jumanji. No, you're thinking about what's his face? That's not Danny Glover. That's not Danny Glover at all. But I know who you're talking about. Anyways, you said I smell jealousy. I bet girls did like him. The only fellow, I mean, he was a good-looking kid. I'm telling you, I was like, oh, he must have been like a popular kid because he is very good-looking, young, good-looking kid. So to me, it's like, you know, maybe one of the guys got jealous. Maybe one of the guys got jealous. And, you know, he just kind of, I don't know. Maybe that's what happened. But let me know. You said Predator and he was a detective. Kevin Hart was in the most recent Jumanji? Really? I haven't seen the most recent. Listen, when the people do the remakes, I can't do it anymore. He was on the Dead on No, I'm confusing him with Saw. But I remember there was a movie and it was like a cult classic. It was before Night of the Living Dead became what Night of the Living Dead was. And I don't know. I'm going to find it. I'm going to look for it. Because for whatever, the thing about Danny Glover is that he's got this like thing about him when he's acting where he's got this, I don't know, like he's got this stare about him that's very unique. Every time I see him in movies, he's got this stare about him that I'm like, oh, that's Danny Glover. You know it's Danny Glover. Right? I just can't remember what movie it was. Yeah, sounds like Jealousy. It might have been like a cult classic type of movie. Very small little movie. But anyways, okay. So we're gonna move on. Let's talk about I don't know where my wig is at. And I don't know if it's appropriate to wear the wig right now, honestly. I got a little bit of a headache too. And I got to edit some videos. She said, what about a remake of a remake? I can't do a remake, y'all. I'm sorry. I don't like remakes. Is it bad for me? I have yet to see a remake of a classic that I'd be like, guys, this remake was fantastic. Let me know. Have y'all ever seen a remake that you're like, I can't wait? Like they totally did it so well. I can't think of a remake that I'm like, this remake is great. I have yet to see one remake where a remake has been fantastic. Nothing that I can think of. I don't know. The God. Well, okay, that was a sequel. Right? So Godfather 2 was amazing. You guys already know that I'm not a fan of Godfather 3. I know people love Godfather. I'm just not a fan of Godfather 3. But Godfather, I mean, literally Al Pacino, oof. I sometimes wish I was Al Pacino's age. He's like my childhood crush. Al Pacino and Robert Redford are like my childhood crushes. Especially Al Pacino when he was younger. Ooh, let me stop. Okay. Yeah, anyways. No worries. All right, I can't do remakes. Cape Fear? Huh, interesting. Yeah. That's my Al Pacino was like my childhood crush. All right, so let's get it together because there was something else that I was going to say and I forgot. So let's get into this Nancy Grace commentary. Bombshell. You know, she got to start with that bombshell. You know, when doesn't she say that there's a bombshell? That's what I want to know. Look at this. Look, every video I think I've watched of this bombshell news.
Tonight in the
Bombshell tonight. I really got to start studying Nancy's Grace. Like, really, really. I just don't think I have her right down. Not even the color of the wig. Hold up.
case against D4VD, aka David Anthony Burke, a morgue leak. That's right. The medical examiner's office leak has torpedoed the case against Burke in the Celeste Rivas homicide probe. Tonight, will the entire case be dropped because of this? Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us.
He has ripped her apart, and there she sits in this house.
Let me stop right here. Like, it's like, ooh, the drama. It's like, you said the drama farming. You said not even the color of the wig. I know. I'm trying to get the color of the wig right. You guys don't even know. Hold up. The Avatar sequels. Y'all are still talking about the movies. Al Pacino. Yes, Al Pacino. I would probably cry if Al Pacino passed away. I would. Ray Liotta was another good one too. Ray Liotta. Agree. Remakes suck. I'm excited to see. Yo, you guys are, y'all are still talking about the remakes. Let me get you guys back up here. Now, hold up. Oh, this is what I was going to do before I start here, because this is another thing that we do. James says, I know a demon who got arrested for possession. I know a demon who got arrested for possession. Now, that was funny. That was funny. You said, he's like, I feel like I need to give her CPR. Wait, James. I know a demon who got arrested. This is funny. I'm sorry. And then he says, where do little ships come from? Birthing canals. Is James still in the chat? Because, you know, like in the UK, it's like, I don't know, 9 o'clock or 1 a.m. over there. Shout out to the UK. Y'all be in a different time zone. That one is funny. All right, let me stop. No, that first one. I know a demon who got arrested for possession, because it's like, it's perfect. James went to bed. Oh man, good night, James. Shout out to the people from the UK. Chantel, thank you so much for your 13-month membership, love. Shout out to you. Sorry, I almost missed your membership. I had to stop because I forgot to shout him out. James, if you look, James left the building. I'm gonna have to tag James on this one. Now that one these two were funny. He says he stays up for this. It's 9:36 in the UK right now. Does James have a bedtime? My goodness. D. Marie. Shout out to D. Marie. Member for freaking 2 years. Thank you, D. Marie. Thank you, D. Marie. Shout out to our boo, D. Marie. Thank you. James went to bed. Thank you, D. Marie. Y'all are so funny in the chat. All right. Yeah. Vicky's like, I think I'm going to need to give her CPR for this one. Bombshell news that could overturn this case. Lord have mercy. You know, she's been doing this job for a long time. It takes a lot to be this animated. Okay, so you got to give it to Nancy Grace. Now, every once in a while, you guys know that Nancy Grace gets on my nerves every once in a while, and I'll call her out because, you know, the wig's too tight. It might cut some of the circulation to the, but that's okay. She does get on my nerves, and I have to, tell her to stop. But let's keep going.
He blames the smell of this child's decomposing body on his bathroom.
Hell yeah, it stinks. This is human remains that are decomposing. A true child, a human being.
Hell yes. Did he just say hell yes? Okay. Lord have mercy. Yo, this is going to be, I might need to take some medication for this one. Is it 3:00 yet? I might need to take some medication for this one. Okay. Hold up.
Had his beard growing in. His pants were, kind of, he was doing that look where his pants were dragging below his bum, you could say, his orange prison pants. He, again, just seems way more comfortable in court and in this setting now in his prison outfit.
Let me understand. Does David Anthony Burke, aka D4VD, actually show his rear end in court?
Wait, what?
That's from Delight, a true crime.
Wait. He showed his rear end. Y'all didn't tell me about this. What had happened? He showed his bum. Did she say prison pants? She said orange prison pants. Okay.
I'm on TikTok with me, an all-star panel. Very quickly to that, Lauren Collins joining us, investigative reporter, LA Magazine, star of Pop Crime TV. Lauren, you've been covering this extensively. Did he actually show up to court showing his rear end?
Well, okay, let's stop right here. Let's talk about the fact that these individuals don't get belts. They're going to be sagging. The guy is like 10 pounds? Isn't he like 110 pounds? I mean, I would expect him to... Listen, if we don't want to give him his Hello Kitty outfit, then what the hell do we expect this guy to wear? It's baggy. It's prison. The pants are too big. He's like 110 pounds, 109, 25. And like I said, nobody's trying to see no rear end, but like, let's give him a onesie. What are we doing? It's giving Maricopa County vibes. Let's not do that. Okay, whatever. All right.
Per the LA Magazine source inside, she did say David appeared very, quote, relaxed, Nancy. So you can kind of use your imagination there a bit. But his hair was a bit unkempt. He was shackled. And also, our reporter said that Blair Burke appeared to be rubbing his back a bit as they kind of laughed and talked. And he even greeted the judge.
I appreciate that, and I'll circle back to that. But my question is, does he literally show his in court?
Wait. I'm still stuck on the rubbing his back. Blair Burke is rubbing his back.
His beard growing in. His pants were... kind of, he was doing that look where his pants were dragging below his bum, you could say, his orange prison pants. He, again, just seems way more comfortable in court and in this setting now in his prison outfit.
Again, from the Light True Crime on TikTok. I've got a lot bigger problems with this case than D4VD David Anthony Burke literally showing his rear end in court. But very quickly, to an esteemed expert, trial lawyer, Nima Rahmani, former federal prosecutor turned trial lawyer, former president of the West Coast Trial Lawyers, author of Harvard to hashtag. Nima, thank you for being with us tonight. I've got bigger legal issues, very complex legal issues to discuss with you, but really showing your ASS in court? Really?
Really? Showing your ASS in court? The pants don't fit him. What are we supposed to... Listen, I'm not focused on that at all. This is a really good screenshot of Nancy. Look at this. I think I'm gonna have to fit. I for the life of me, I can't do it. Oh my God. The things we worry about, man. Let's keep going.
What are the defense lawyers for Pete's sake? Can't they say, pull up your pants, idiot?
Well, they should, because your appearance in court matters a lot. So I think this is probably going to be the end of it, Nancy. I think David's going to have to understand that if you're going to appear in court, everything matters. There's a reason everyone from Luigi Mangione to Sean Diddy Combs, they wear the same. Those sweater vests, those neutral colors. You don't want to be showing your rear in court to the jurors. It's disrespectful to court and a surefire way to get yourself convicted pretty quickly.
Wait, convicted over showing your rear end? Listen, are we just digging for commentary? We just digging for comment. You're going to get convicted for showing your rear end. I can't, man. You can't make this shit up.
Let me see Nima Romani, please. Nima, we have a very serious and complex legal issue that has just reared its ugly head for the state. Bombshell tonight, torpedo directly into the state's homicide case. And who's going to suffer for this? Celeste, 14-year-old Celeste, found decomposing in the trunk of D4VD, David Anthony Burke's Tesla. Okay, her. Here's the problem. In the last days, we now learn why the LAPD insisted the morgue be slapped with a gag order. A gag order on the morgue. And I got to tell you, Nima, I have deep respect for the medical examiner's office. They are some of the best witnesses ever. Juries love a medical doctor on the stand. They know what they're talking about. And when you get the chief of the ME's office up there on the stand, the prosecutor can just sit down and twiddle their thumbs because they will run with the ball. They're brilliant. I think we can all agree with that. So I naturally sided with the morgue, with the ME's office, when I heard LAPD wants to slap them with a gag order.
Okay. All right. You said, oh my God. Well, I just don't know. You said, oh boy, out of all the things, it's his rear end. That's what I'm saying is like, out of all the things that can get him convicted, it's his rear end. Now that's reaching. He did request it, but they said no. They said no. So that's why I was like, well, what do y'all want him to wear? I don't get it, but okay. Oh, hold up. I almost muted that. There we go.
And now we know why. Hold, Nima. For those of you that don't know what's happening, the giant stink bomb in the courtroom, out to Dave Matt, Crime Stories investigative reporter. Dave, a morgue leak? What?
As we were covering the story in the beginning, there was certain information that was coming out that was very specific about the condition of Celeste Rivas' remains. And talking on and off the air, we were wondering, where is this information coming from? They're not releasing official information, so it has to be somebody is making it up or somebody's leaking it. And now we've got official notification that employees of the office are now going to be required. We're talking 12 different employees, Nancy, being required to sit for recorded interviews as the department investigates itself to determine who in this office is and was leaking information about this 14-year-old child and her remains to somebody in the public.
Okay, think back.
I mean, listen, think back. Nancy, it's your colleagues. That's who it is. You said you feel like Nancy verbally assaults her. I think they like it. I think the guests like that. Some guests love abuse. I don't know, man. It's just, but she's really good at it. And she also likes to, she's really good. She's been doing this for a long time, right? Like from her days, I'll never forget when I was watching her show when we had cable many years ago. We don't have cable anymore because we don't be using cable like that. Who uses cable? Who watches cable anymore? Everything is streamed. Back in those days, yeah, I mean, she had a little true crime show before true crime was what it was, So yeah, I don't know. Find it interesting.
Nima Romani, one of the best in the business, by the way. Remember at the beginning, we kept getting information that all these horrible things had been done to her body. I'm talking about rendering, disarticulating, a kiddie pool in the garage used for that very purpose. It was horrific. And then we were told, well, that's not true. That didn't happen. She was not rendered. She was not disarticulated. That's all a lie. Okay, so there was a lot of confusion. Now we know what was happening. According to reports, the medical examiner's office was leaking information. And then the LAPD was quickly saying, that's not true. That's not true. It's all true, according to the state. Here's the problem. This is not for prurient interest to read in the National Enquirer or in a tabloid. This is a murder case of a young girl. The medical examiner's office equals the state. And when the state is proven to have done prejudicial wrongdoing to the defendant, the whole case conceivably can be dropped, Nima.
Nancy,
I love the dramatics. I really do. But I mean, is it going to affect the whole case? That's the question that I have. You said Baez Bev Kinkles. I like your name. Love the NJ wig. Great stage. Yeah, y'all, the NJ wig is somewhere else here, so I couldn't put it on today. But I'm gonna get it highlighted. The wig is in the shop. My wig is in the shop right now. Okay. So that's why. Rabbit, I'm in OSMS. You Mississippi? Oh, gotcha. Okay, thank you, Liz, for the 199. And thank you, by the way, again, Bias Bev, shout out to your name. And Liz, thank you so much. Thank you for the heads up. Yeah, that was from earlier commentary. Thank you. You said, LOL, when did the inflatable pool get conflated with the kiddie pool? Is there that's the only kind of pools that we have? So if it's an inflatable pool, it's a kiddie pool? Because I guess it's small, right? That's why she's calling it a kiddie pool. I don't know. It's giving angry soap opera. Well, I mean, she threw her pen on the floor. She said, that was a prop too. That was pretty good. She dropped it.
It's a huge problem, and Blair Burke and the defense are going to take this and they're going to run with it. And it's not only a problem from a leak or discovery perspective, it's a violation of a court order. So months and months ago, LAPD went to the judge to get an order, a non-dissemination order, so that members of the media, they couldn't get this report subject to a Public Records Act request. And the judge sided with LAPD and said that this report should not be made public. So now if you have members of the government, and even though it's not the prosecution is responsible for these employees disseminating information unlawfully in violation of a court order to the media and other members of the public, believe me, the defense is going to have a field day with this. They're going to file an outrageous government conduct motion. They're going to do everything they can to get this case dismissed. There can be terminating sanctions. There can be other types of sanctions for the DA's office. Now, all of a sudden, instead of being on offense, they're in a defensive position, having to explain all this in open court.
Naaman, I want to tell you a true story, okay? I was working on a death penalty case, and suddenly I got subpoenaed to testify in court. Okay, it hadn't gone to trial, obviously. I was stunned. Why would the prosecutor get subpoenaed? But of course, I showed up. I had no files with me, nothing. I just went, and the entire defense fleet was there. And the judge was looking at me accusingly. I'm like, what? And they said, have you withheld evidence? And I said, no, I handed over my entire file, everything I had, which of course you need to do in a death penalty case, because if you do get a conviction, there's going to be all sorts of appeals. Well, then they handed me some papers I had never seen before. And I went, I've never seen these. Where did they come from? They came out of the homicide file down at APD homicide. Okay. They had unwittingly left out about 20, 30 pages in what they gave me. So when I handed over the whole file, I didn't have those 30 pages. Well, we immediately handed it over, and there was, well over a year. I had already left the office and gone to court TV before the case went to trial. So they had plenty of time to digest those 30 or so pages. The point is, even though the investigator truly inadvertently, because the papers really were not that probative, inadvertently left out those pages, it was still my fault. Oh, see? Wow. And even though the medical examiners,
it was still her fault. That's interesting. So she's just saying that you could still be held accountable for the work that you did even after you leave the office. It's surrounding the people around this.
Office leaked, and that's horrific. That's deadly. It's still the prosecutor's fault. Ergo, therefore, prosecution misconduct cases can be dropped for that, Nima. Dropped. Never to be brought back again if it is dropped with prejudice. Now, please, regular people talk. Explain what I'm talking about. With prejudice.
With prejudice means that it can't be refiled. And Nancy, this happens all the time. It's not just you as prosecutors. We are responsible for the government's conduct. And there was a huge case recently where this was a big issue. Lori Vallow Daybell in Idaho, because of some discovery violations, guess what? The judge struck the death penalty in that case. Chad Daybell, he's on death row. Lori Vallow is going to spend the rest of her life in prison because of some discovery violations there in Idaho. So this is a huge deal. And when you have good defense attorneys, they're going to use every advantage that they can. So if there was a violation here, and I'm saying if, then the DA's office is going to be in a world of where, obviously, look, not a death penalty case, but that doesn't mean that this case can't be dismissed. There can't be all sorts of other sanctions here. Like you said, the process.
Okay. First Liberties in the chat, tell me, I mean, are they playing it up? Is it possible? Are we going to get a dismissal? I might have to, you know what? I might have to Nancy Grace some of my guests on my channel. Like, if I start going crazy like that, like literally, I might have to Nancy Grace a lot of people that come up to the pit. I should have Nancy Grace Abraham last time that he was here. Nancy Grace, everybody. Are we like speculating here or what? Is this you, Joe?
Yep.
Joe, are you there?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, man? Now, should I Nancy Grace you too or what? Tell me.
Wait, what does that look like? Am I going to get
Nancy
scolded?
Grace, maybe she berates her guests and
It's funny. I don't care.
No, not doing that. Anyways, go ahead. What do you? I mean,
I
are
heard
they?
my name, so I jumped on up here.
Well, what do you think? I mean, are they speaking factually here as far as like, is this possible? They're going to throw out the case now or what?
Actually, it's possible. It just depends on the misconduct. We don't know what that is yet. All we know is that there are investigations, like Mrs. Kazarian was saying in that interview with News Nation. She said if they are doing the interviews, or excuse me, if they are answering questions publicly, there is no investigation. If there is a criminal investigation, even government officials have the right to be silent. So they're probably not gonna say anything. So we're not going to know anything. The whole thing is I heard 12 people who may have accessed the files when they did not have permission to do it. Now, at very least, that's a contempt charge because it was under seal. As far as actually spoliation of evidence and actually ruining the evidence, we have to see what that actually looks like. We can't tell from here. Not yet. We need to actually know if damage was done. Now, what can happen if there is damage done and that damage is hidden from the defense, then there's a risk of a Brady violation. And for those of you who don't know what that means, when evidence could either show that the defendant did not commit the crime or challenge the government's theory of the crime, that by court order has to go to the defense. There is no excuse. There are no exceptions. In fact, Nancy Grace was punished by the Georgia Supreme Court twice for Brady violations. That's why she knows so well.
Oh,
anyway,
shit.
there's no excuse.
No idea.
If it comes up, the prosecution has a responsibility to turn that over to the defense because the jury needs to see it. It's interfering with the defendant's right to cross-examine and to an impartial jury, because it's going to prejudice the jury based on the facts that just make this guy look bad. Now, granted, that's what the prosecutor is supposed to do, except that the Supreme Court held a defendant has a constitutional. You'll look in the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, where it says that the defendant has a right to confront witnesses. That means cross-examination, basically. And in order to cross-examine effectively, you need to know the evidence so you can actually prepare. So if you don't have that evidence, you can't cross-examine the witnesses against you. So that's why it's a violation. Plus, let's say it comes out during the appeal. That would mean there is evidence that shows David actually did not commit this crime, at least the first degree charge, because that's what the medical examiner's report is all related to. So either that it would show that he didn't do it, or the government did such a poor job putting the evidence together that it isn't reliable at trial. So whatever the conclusion would actually be in that hypothetical, yes, that would be enough to, on appeal, scrap the charge. It would be a mistrial, and that one would necessarily get dismissed with prejudice. Meaning, even if he really did it, but the government did such a poor job proving it, hid the evidence, which they are not allowed to do, then yes, he could, for that reason, just walk.
Gotcha.
But that's a stretch. Right now, all we know is that 12 people somehow found access to something they were not supposed to access. So we don't know why that happened. We don't know the extent of the damage done or if any damage is done. The report publicly is only that 12 members from the medical examiner's office access these files without permission to do it. With that information alone, we don't know anything. But like I said, and I told you this last week, count on the defense to sit on this. They are going to ride this at trial. They probably not during the preliminary, probably not in the preliminary coming up. They may not have that opportunity, but they are definitely going to use this first chance they get. Promise you, it's going to come up. They're going to exaggerate. They're going to fight. They're going to bite and scratch. Okay, they're going to go hood. They're going to be hood about it. Okay.
They're going to get the hands.
They're getting hands. They're going to bring out the nails, pulling hair, biting. Yeah, I'm telling you, they're going to do it.
You're a mollywop. All right, let me hit play.
prosecution is always responsible for the conduct of government employees. So they're the ones that are going to be paying the price. And of course, it all comes down to Celeste Rivas and her family. I hope they're not the ones who suffer because of some misconduct of some government employees.
Joining us now, and I met him when he was at the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office, which has a huge crush of a caseload. With me, renowned forensic expert Joseph Scott Morgan, professor of forensics, Jacksonville State University. He's the author of Blood Beneath My Feet on Amazon. He is the star of a hit podcast, Body Bags with Joseph Scott Morgan. But for our purposes, Joe Scott is a death investigator with over 10,000 death investigations under his belt. I don't know.
Why does he look like he's about to get, like, he is so mad. I don't know what
because he has 10,000 death investigations.
That's a lot of them. Like,
he's seen too much. He's done.
You know, when they said, we were talking about this, right? And somebody said, the lady from Garagos and Garagos said that these death investigators are antisocial. Ask him about that.
Well, does he look approachable? Does he look like he wants to sit down and have a chat over crumpets?
You like the guy?
Oh, this guy wants to be bothered at all.
I don't think he wants to give commentary, man. He looks pissed. Let me go ahead and play.
How to explain the reverberations that will occur because of the medical examiner's legal term. You may not be familiar with this F up.
Yeah.
It's worse than an F up because an F up suggests, oh, I screwed up. Sorry. No, this was an intentional leak. Providing lurid, upsetting information about a little girl's rendering of her body, the disarticulation of her body in a kiddie pool. A leak of that volatile, incendiary, upsetting information for what? That leads me to the specter. Did they get paid for the leak? Are they like the anonymous tipster to the Daily Mail? I mean, people get paid for information. Hey, guys, right here, look at this. Thank you, control room.
That is, Yanni, ain't that the truth, right? Nobody cared when Celeste was alive, but now people are risking their jobs trying to get information about her death. Ain't that some ish, man?
Unfortunately, some people just don't snap out of it until somebody dies or gets hurt. But I don't think nobody tried. I don't think that's the case. I think there are a lot of variables going on, and ultimately this girl was taken advantage of.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to. I think it was a fight she couldn't win.
Here's shots from our friends at TMZ. That is the garage where we believe the kiddie pool was placed for the rendering of Celeste. And I'm putting it as euphemistically as I possibly can. Right there in his home. So thank you, TMZ, for that. But think about it. Where does this go? What if they were paid for the information to leak those very sensitive documents, Joe Scott? You worked in a medical examiner's office. It could be anybody. It could be one of the doctors. It could be an assistant. It could be a secretary. It could be a cleaning lady. It could be an intern that quickly Xerox the files.
You would think that a cleaning lady wouldn't have access to any of this stuff.
Cleaning lady.
Stop.
But
why the cleaning lady always get blamed for shit? Y'all leave the cleaning ladies alone.
Blame the guy that can't speak English. Thank God for keyboard, right?
Thank you. I'm like, but it's not funny, but it's true. It's like, come on, cleaning lady.
No, I know but I will just say something. What she said right there. If they're following money, that's a concern. Depending on who's accessing this stuff, because if people are making edits, if they're motivated by money to make edits and change their conclusions, that is a very serious problem. So if someone follows that money and doesn't tell David that there's evidence somebody here was taking payments to change these files, yes, that is something he could use. That is a problem. So so people understand what she's talking about there, why that's a problem. Long term. Now, also just to settle people down a little bit, I doubt it's going to happen because judges do have a lot of discretion to narrow the scope of the evidence if it has been tainted at all. Yeah, the judge could scrap the exhibit. I doubt she's going to do that, especially because this is a fundamental issue to the whole trial. It's the body. It's the center of the whole thing. So the judge is going to do everything in her power, if necessary. Again, if necessary, because we still don't know if any damage was done. We just know people access something they didn't have a right to access. But the judge can narrow the scope of, like, maybe certain people can't testify. Maybe certain employees from the medical examiner's office can't testify, for example. and that's a very light remedy to a serious problem, and I don't know, it's definitely going to come up on his appeal. Everybody appeals, by the way, and we're not doing executions in California anymore, but his appeal would be filed automatically if he did qualify. So his team was going to have to file that appeal if he has a team at the end of this, because like everybody says, because of these charges, nobody knows how to defend you yet. The only thing left is the Hail Mary. Basically, if not for a violation like this, he may not get out. He may not walk. It looks like if we take the government's assessment of the facts so far, that statement where Silverman said, stood by as she bled out, or how the DNA was a match for the profile of Celeste. If that's exactly as advertised in the light most favorable to the state, yeah, absolutely, he's going away. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I got. Go ahead.
All right.
Or email them to someone. This is going to be a full-blown thing.
Yeah, it is. And one of the things that I'm hearing, Nancy, is that they use the term plural investigators, which they have a huge staff of investigators at the ME's office, ME/corner in LA, and also other personnel. So you've got a huge, huge section of individuals that have, Nancy, nothing to do with this case that are looking through these files. And Lord only knows what happened to them, and were there photocopies made? Were there actual snaps of individual images that people were taking with their phones? Has this stuff been disseminated? Because when you're working with a medical examiner, Nancy, there will be one investigator assigned to this case from the MEO, okay? And that is the only person along with the pathologist that is working the case, the forensic pathologist that did the examination. Those are the only people that really need to know at this point in time. This is like a sacred trust within our community. And what's so very disturbing about this, Nancy, and this goes beyond this case, right now, the trust has been so eroded between LAPD and between the MEO that this is one of these things that it will take forever to repair, not to mention all of the criminal and civil repercussions. Because
let me stop right here, because the whole narrative has always been that they don't get along. So this was before this case, right? Like I've heard this before.
I didn't hear it until Harvey Levin said it.
Well, he said it, but he said that this was historic, that they had not been getting along for a while. And
yeah,
I'm
I think
thinking,
he said it because that's how most people found out he was old enough to have watched the news around Marilyn Monroe dying.
oh my God, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, that's back when he said it. I don't know. It's nothing that I've ever heard. Now, to a point, I can see that because police officers shouldn't necessarily be trained on the law the same way that a prosecutor would, because the prosecutors have to represent the evidence at trial. Cops do have to follow laws that are informed by our courts. All law is informed by our courts. So their training is informed by the court, but they're not expected to know all the rules of evidence, especially not criminal procedures when it actually does go to a criminal court. So I could see a minor conflict because the police department's going to recommend charges, and then the DA is going to say maybe say I need a little bit more, or I don't have enough for that at all, or maybe we have to dismiss certain counts. And I could see a conflict between the superiors because the cops are going to say, no, I did everything right. Prosecutor's going to say, I have ethical responsibilities. I can't use this evidence. So I could see some conflict there, but I don't think overall as professionals that there's a normal conflict. I don't see it. It's nothing I know. And I know a few cops. I have had cops in my family forever, and this is nothing I've ever heard about.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a surprise to me.
Let me hit play here.
See, this is what it comes down to. This child, as if the family hasn't had enough on them, is now being drugged before people putting eyes on this case that have no business in it, and they are seeing this over and over again. It becomes a sideshow, and that's something that we take very, very seriously.
Well, I got to tell you something. Nima Rahmani, if I were the prosecutor in this case, it would be like my hair was on fire getting into that medical examiner and finding out what happened, because they
as opposed to what her hair's always on fire.
Are this close to getting the case thrown out because of misconduct for which somebody may have been paid.
No question. So obviously there's going to be an investigation here, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's criminal charges because that's how serious this is. But even short of misconduct, I mean, this is fodder for cross-examination. When the Emmy takes the stand, this will probably be discussed. When we're talking about jury selection, you're talking about prejudicial information that might not be admissible, that's already been leaked. So this affects voir dire as well.
Yeah.
Nima, look at your
Stop
screen.
right there.
Look at her. Look at
The frozen, unfrozen. Go ahead.
Yeah, see, that is important because that is what the Supreme Court the Supreme Court has already answered this question decades ago. So what happened is police officers were releasing statements, evidence that wasn't actually admissible, and they did it to make a defendant look worse. And the conviction of this man was reversed because the police officers were going the extra mile to give all these extra prejudicial statements that would have biased a jury pool. Now, the key word there, the inadmissible stuff. So that's the importance of locking away the grand jury testimony. Because remember, they say a lot of things that they can be said during the grand jury, but they may not be allowable in the court because all rules of evidence apply at the trial. But there are some rules, like hearsay rules, like third-party statements. You can ask, did you hear from other people? And stuff like that at the grand jury hearing, because they allow those third-party statements. But if that is admitted at trial, that's going to cause problems. But what he's talking about here in Nima is, like I said, because the cops talk about things that are supposed to be hidden away, because yeah, people say things. Sometimes people say things during investigations that aren't even true. Sometimes witnesses outright lie. Of course, first chance they get, if it's a group of 3, 2 of them could pin it on one guy and get away with it. Of course, first chance they get, they'll do it, and it's happened before.
Right,
but
right.
The thing is, the prosecution side of it, that means police officers and the district attorneys, they have a responsibility, and well, the state generally. That's what Nancy was talking about. The medical examiners too, because this serves a criminal prosecution purpose and therefore a due process purpose. So it's supposed to be protected. So just so people understand what she was talking about there, or him too.
her. She is a little girl. She is dead. She has had her body rendered down, left in 2 plastic bags, and the front trunk, a D4VD, David Anthony's Burke Tesla, and her body rotted. There's no nice way to say it. That is what is at stake. You mentioned cross-exam. Okay, that's a potential remedy for what has happened, but I've made out a list of what I think are possible remedies. Number 1, change of venue. They may want to change a venue so people that have heard about this won't be on the jury. But wouldn't you agree that's going to be a bad move for D4VD? They don't want to change a venue. They're in one of the most lenient jurisdictions in California. You get a change of venue and you hike up to Northern California, you will get convicted up there. Yeah, forget it. I doubt they want to change a venue. They could try to get the prosecution thrown off. Won't work. They may try to get the medical examiner's office recused, unlikely because they're the ones that did the autopsy. The medical examiner is going to be reprimanded, that for sure. There will be a searing cross-examination. That's a given. Here's a concern. Remember what happened in O.J. Simpson, right? Furman and others on the force made the jury so upset about their personal behavior that it ended in a jury nullification. And we've seen it many, many times. The jury says, you know what? He probably did it, but screw it. The state was horrible. We're not convicting. It's a punishment for the state. Of course, you could ask each individual juror on voir dire, do they know about this? And if they say no, and they can keep an open mind, the case moves forward. What do you think is going to happen?
I think they're going to try all those things except the change of venue. Like you said, I mean, LA County is by far and away one of the best venues for defense lawyers. And like you said, the defense is going to put law enforcement on trial. This is defense lawyering 101. It started from the OJ case, but there are a lot of people here in LA County where I'm sitting that don't trust law enforcement, don't trust our government, and this is going to feed into that. But disqualification motion for the DA's office? Absolutely. We saw this in the Tyler Robinson case with Charlie Kirk. This is something the defense is going to do, try to get the whole prosecution team kicked off. And again, bring this in every possible stage of the case they can. Jury selection, ask the potential jurors, have you heard about this leak? Do you have any views about the LA County ME and the misconduct allegations here that are going to affect your ability to be
And
fair?
they have a complete right to do that. Voir dire questioning, voir dire, French for to speak the truth. It's known to us as jury selection. You know, I got another question to Dr. Bethany Marshall joining us, renowned psychoanalyst. She's the author of Deal Breaker.
Okay, I'm going to stop right here because I do
Yeah,
have to
because this
go
girl
on-
hurts
on-
my eyes.
Well, between
glad
that and
you
the I'm like, the girl blends right. That's why I'm like, I'm not dying to put her on. I am going to stop right there because I have Baby Bunny in. I'm being called.
Okay, so you're on the way out anyway.
Yes. But anything else? Any closing thoughts on this? I mean, I don't feel like we're being told anything new. It's just commentary that they're giving. I mean, it's speculation.
Yeah, like I said, we only have those statements that, and I heard 12 employees, whether or not that number, it could be one and it would still make the news. Point is, the judge has ways around this, like Nancy was talking about. And I really doubt that the judge is going to try and look for any excuse to scrap the medical examiner's report. Especially, what happens is our criminal courts presume that the public has an interest in seeing everything resolved at trial. So the judge is going to fight tooth and nail and look for ways to get this to trial. Like she might, like Nancy said, there are a bunch of remedies she could try. Change of venue, I don't know. Like I said, that would be up to them. They might find another jurisdiction they think is more lenient. I don't know. That's nothing that we can predict right now. You know, we're just talking about hypotheticals and what the rules of law say in situations like this. That's mainly what Nima was talking about.
That's
so,
all they
like I
can
said,
do.
all said and done, and even remember, Chloe's a trial lawyer, and she said the same thing. She doubted a lot of this was ever going to come up at the trial. And then, like I said, you can always expect the defense to try, because as a matter of appellate law, if you don't bring it up at your trial or pre-trial, then you can't bring it up on appeal. So she's going to try Blair Burke. She's going to try, if for no other reason than to have an excuse to fight on appeal, possibly to get some more money out of him. But yeah, at this point, right now, it's way too early to say it's getting dismissed. I sincerely doubt it.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But well, Joe, I'm going to, by the way, guys, for those that don't know, this is First Liberties podcast. Make sure you guys check him out. We did a pre-recorded this morning and it was very interesting. Hold up. Let me pull up your first. I forget that you're like one word, First Liberties.
Yeah, all one word.
Podcast. That's why it's so hard for me to find it because I keep like typing it up in the long
Yeah, I got
way.
a lot of updating to do on this channel. I got a lot of work to do.
So
As
First
soon as
Liberty
I go
Podcast
home.
tonight, we did a video together and we're going to drop it. I'm going to go back and review it. Either drop it tonight or tomorrow. I know you're in Cali time, so we have different time zones, but I'm going to go see what, I don't think there's a lot of editing actually. I think it's pretty basic. So it shouldn't be too bad. But I did upload it on the uploader and the editor, so it's ready to go. And I'll tag you in. Guys, the video that we did was on Alexi Treviso. For those that are like, this is his channel right here. Let me drop the link real quick for you guys to check him out. But we dropped the video on Alexi Treviso for those that New Mexico case where the mom that delivered a baby at a hospital and put the baby in the trash can and tied the baby up. Baby suffocated to death. And it's a whole different, it's a mess and a half in that case. But
yeah, it's a big mess.
Yeah, it's a big mess. So we had Lexi, clearly Shelly does.
Yeah, I like how they know, because they're dying too. They want to know the truth.
What
What's
happened to
happening next?
Lexi? Yeah, so so I'll probably drop it either tonight or tomorrow, for sure tomorrow morning, if not tonight. And then I'll tag you up, Joe, just so you know, okay?
Excellent. Look forward to it.
Cool. All right. Well, I will let you guys go because I gotta go, y'all. I gotta go. But I will see you guys on the next one. Hit the like button. Let me know what you guys think in the comments.
Have a good day, guys.
All right. Bye. Say bye to Joe, guys. Thank you, guys. Shout out to everybody that supported today. I really, really, really do appreciate it. Thank you for supporting the channel. I literally thank you guys. I will see you guys on the next one. I gotta go tend to some stuff, but I will see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys. And SJ, thank you so much again for that super sticker. Super thanks. Shout out to you. I did see it. I'm going to go hit the like and everything. Bye, guys. Bye, guys. Thank you. Bye, guys. Have a good night. Bye, guys.